The clock on the wall showed 11:52 p.m. when Natalie Harper finally leaned back in her worn office chair. Her eyes burned from staring at spreadsheets for the past 6 hours. Sterling Financial had closed hours ago, but Natalie remained at her desk on the 14th floor, surrounded by towers of financial reports that needed reviewing before the morning meeting. She was always the last one to leave. Being a junior accountant meant proving herself worthy of every small opportunity. Her colleagues had families to return to, social lives that sparkled with weekend plans and dinner parties. Natalie had student debt and a determination to climb out of the background where people like her usually stayed forever. The city sprawled below her window, a constellation of lights against the dark sky. She stretched her tired arms above her head and decided to call it a night. Just as she reached for her bag, the office phone rang. The sound cut through the silence like a knife. Natalie jumped, her heart suddenly racing. Nobody called the office line this late. Most communication happened through email or personal phones these days. She stared at the device as it rang a second time. Shrill and insistent, her hand trembled slightly as she picked up the receiver. "Hello. Sterling Financial, this is Natalie Harper speaking." Silence greeted her at first. Then a voice emerged from the other end, deep and commanding, the kind of voice that expected immediate answers. "Where is the documentation?" Natalie blinked, confused. Her tired brain struggled to process the question. "I think you have the wrong number. This is just the accounting department." The voice on the other end did not soften. Instead, it grew sharper, more urgent. "Stop playing games. I need those files tonight. Do you understand what is at stake?" A chill ran down her spine. This was not a casual wrong number. The man spoke with authority, with barely controlled tension threading through every word. "Sir, I really think you have called the wrong person. I do not know anything about any files." Another pause stretched between them. When he spoke again, his tone had shifted slightly, carrying a hint of confusion mixed with his earlier command. "Who is this?" "Natalie Harper. I work in accounting at Sterling Financial. I was just finishing up some reports when you called." She heard him exhale slowly. The sound was thoughtful, calculating. "Natalie Harper?" He repeated her name as if testing how it felt. "You answered a number that belongs to someone who has information I desperately need. Information that could expose corruption at the highest levels of the financial industry." Her mouth went dry. "Corporate corruption. Exposing scandals." This sounded like something from a thriller movie, not her boring Tuesday night at the office. "I promise you, I am just an accountant. I process expense reports and balance sheets. I do not have access to anything important." Perhaps not intentionally. His voice had become calmer now, more controlled. "But you answered this call, which means someone wanted me to reach this number. Tell me, has anyone contacted you recently? Asked you unusual questions? Given you documents to hold?" Natalie searched her memory frantically. Her life was routine to the point of monotony. Work, subway, small apartment, repeat. No, nothing like that. My life is very ordinary. Ordinary lives can become extraordinary very quickly, Miss Harper, especially when people dial the wrong number at the right time. Before she could respond, he continued. "My name is Julian Westbrook. You may have heard of Westbrook Global Industries." Her breath caught. Everyone had heard of Julian Westbrook. His company dominated international markets in technology and finance. His face appeared regularly in business magazines, always photographed at charity galas or high-stakes negotiations. Forbes had recently listed him as one of the youngest billionaires in the country, and he had just called her by mistake. "Mr. Westbrook, I think this is all just a confusion. If someone gave you the wrong number, I am sorry, but I cannot help you." "You already have helped me, Miss Harper. By answering this call, you have become part of something much larger. Whether you realize it or not, you are now connected to a very dangerous situation." Fear coiled in her stomach. "What do you mean, dangerous?" "The person I was trying to reach possesses evidence of insider trading and fraud that reaches into government offices. That person has disappeared. Their phone number differs from yours by only 1 digit. If anyone believes you might know where they are or what they know, you could be in serious trouble." Natalie felt the room spinning slightly. This could not be happening. Not to her. Not to someone who spent her days organizing receipts and double-checking calculations. "But I do not know anything." "That may not matter to the people looking for answers." His voice softened just a fraction. "Miss Harper, I need you to trust me. I am going to protect you, whether you want me to or not. From this moment forward, you are under my watch. You cannot just decide that. You do not even know me. I know enough. I know you work late when everyone else has gone home. I know you are dedicated and careful. And I know that fate has just connected our lives in a way neither of us expected. She wanted to argue, to tell him he was being ridiculous, but something in his tone, in the absolute certainty with which he spoke, made her pause. What if I refuse your help? Then you take a very dangerous gamble, Miss Harper. And I never gamble with what matters to me. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. I should go, Natalie whispered, her voice shaking. Go home safely. Lock your doors. And Natalie? Yes? This conversation is not over. Not by a long way. The line went dead. Natalie sat frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the dial tone. Her hands trembled as she set the receiver down. The office suddenly felt too large, too empty, filled with shadows that had not been there moments before. She grabbed her bag and hurried toward the elevator, her footsteps echoing loudly in the deserted hallway. As the doors closed and she descended toward the lobby, one thought circled through her mind. Her ordinary life had just ended, and Julian Westbrook, a man she had never met, had already decided she belonged to him. Natalie Harper barely slept that night. She lay in her small apartment bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the phone conversation over and over. Every creak of the building made her jump. Every shadow seemed to carry hidden threats. By the time dawn broke through her thin curtains, she had convinced herself that exhaustion had made her imagine the intensity in Julian Westbrook's voice. She moved through her morning routine on autopilot. Coffee that tasted like cardboard. A shower that did nothing to wash away her anxiety. The subway ride to work felt longer than usual, every stranger's glance making her heart race. When she walked through the glass doors of Sterling Financial, she expected normalcy. Instead, she found chaos. A crowd had gathered near the reception desk. Voices buzzed with excitement and gossip. Natalie slowed her steps, dread pooling in her stomach. Through the gaps between her colleagues, she saw what had captured everyone's attention. An enormous arrangement of flowers dominated the reception counter. Deep crimson roses mixed with elegant white lilies, arranged in a crystal vase that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The scent was overwhelming, filling the entire lobby with a fragrance that seemed designed to announce its own importance. Natalie! The receptionist, a woman named Grace, waved her over with barely contained glee. These just arrived for you. Every head turned. Natalie felt heat flooding her cheeks as dozens of eyes fixed on her with curiosity and speculation. For me? That cannot be right. Grace handed her a small envelope, her smile knowing. Oh, it is definitely right. The delivery man confirmed it 3 times. Natalie's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was a card with heavy, expensive paper. 2 initials were embossed at the top in silver. J.W. The message was brief, but unmistakable. Wrong numbers sometimes lead to right destinations. We will speak again soon. Julian Westbrook. Her blood turned to ice. Around her, whispers erupted like wildfire. Julian Westbrook? The billionaire Julian Westbrook? How does Natalie know him? Maybe she has a secret life we do not know about. Someone laughed, the sound cruel and knowing. Or maybe she found herself a very generous sponsor. Natalie wanted the floor to open and swallow her whole. She clutched the card and pushed through the crowd, ignoring the stares and barely concealed smirks. Her cubicle felt like a sanctuary, but even there she could hear the gossip spreading like poison through the office. She shoved the flowers under her desk, but their perfume clung to everything. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Do not let them make you feel small. You are worth more than their narrow minds can understand. Natalie stared at the message. How did he even have her phone number? Anger flared in her chest, mixing with confusion and an emotion she refused to name. She typed back quickly. You need to stop this. People are talking. You are making my life impossible. His response came immediately. People always talk. Let them. I protect what is mine. I am not yours. Not yet. Natalie threw her phone into her bag, fury making her hands tremble. Who did this man think he was? He had spoken to her once, sent flowers, and decided he owned her life. The morning dragged on. Every conversation seemed to stop when she walked past. Her supervisor, a sharp woman named Victoria, called her into a private office just before lunch. "Natalie, we need to discuss something." Victoria's tone was ice-wrapped in professional courtesy. "Your personal life is creating disruption in the workplace." "I did not ask for those flowers." "I barely know the person who sent them." Victoria raised one perfectly shaped eyebrow. "You barely know Julian Westbrook, yet he sends you flowers worth more than most people's weekly salary? That strains credibility." "It is complicated." "Then uncomplicate it quickly. Sterling Financial has a reputation to maintain. We cannot have our junior staff involved in scandals with powerful clients or competitors." Natalie felt her career crumbling. "There is no scandal. I answered a wrong number. That is all." "A wrong number that resulted in this?" Victoria gestured vaguely toward the lobby where the flowers still sat. "Be very careful, Natalie. Men like Julian Westbrook do not pursue ordinary women without expecting something in return. And when things go wrong, it is always the woman who suffers the consequences." The warning was clear. Natalie left the office feeling sick. By the time 5 o'clock arrived, she practically ran from the building. The cool evening air hit her face like a blessing. She just wanted to go home, lock her door, and pretend this nightmare would end. But Julian Westbrook was waiting. He stood beside a sleek black car, looking like he had stepped out of a fashion magazine. His dark suit fit perfectly, his hair artfully styled, his presence commanding attention from every person who passed. When he saw her, something shifted in his expression. The hard edges softened just slightly. "Miss Harper, you need to leave me alone." Natalie kept walking, refusing to stop. He fell into step beside her effortlessly. "I cannot do that." "Yes, you can. You absolutely can. You are ruining my life. I am trying to save it." She spun to face him, anger finally breaking through her fear. "Save it? You sent flowers to my office." "Everyone thinks I am sleeping with you for money or promotions or whatever twisted story they invented." "My boss threatened my job." Julian's jaw tightened. "Your boss threatened you?" "Yes." "Because of you and your dramatic gestures." For a moment he was silent. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Natalie watched in horror as he spoke crisply to someone on the other end. "This is Julian Westbrook. I need to speak with Victoria Chen at Sterling Financial." "Yes, immediately." "What are you doing?" Natalie hissed. He held up one finger, asking her to wait. When someone answered, his voice became cold steel. "Miss Chen, this is Julian Westbrook. I understand you spoke with Natalie Harper today regarding flowers I sent her. Let me be very clear. Miss Harper is under my personal protection due to circumstances beyond her control. If she experiences any professional retaliation, any hint of discrimination, or any damage to her career because of my actions, I will personally ensure that Sterling Financial faces legal consequences that will make your quarterly reports look like tragedy novels. Am I understood?" Natalie could not hear Victoria's response, but Julian's expression remained hard. "Excellent. I am glad we have reached an understanding. Have a pleasant evening." He ended the call and turned back to Natalie. "Your job is secure." She stared at him, speechless. "You just threatened my boss. I protected you." "There is a difference. I did not ask for your protection." "You do not have to ask. It is not negotiable." Frustration boiled over. "Why are you doing this?" "Why me? I am nobody." "I am just an accountant who answered the wrong phone call." Julian stepped closer. His eyes held hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "You are not nobody, Natalie. You are someone who works until midnight because you believe in doing things right. You are someone who does not realize how rare that kind of integrity is. And whether you want to accept it or not, you answered a call that put you in danger. I will not apologize for keeping you safe. But the way you are doing it makes everything worse. Then tell me how to do it better." His voice softened unexpectedly. "Tell me what you need." The question surprised her. She had expected more commands, more arrogant certainty. Instead, he was actually asking, "I need space. I need people to stop staring at me like I am some kind of kept woman. I need my normal life back." Julian studied her for a long moment. "I can give you space, but I cannot give you normal. Not anymore. The moment you answered that phone, your life changed. I wish I could undo that, but I cannot. What I can do is make sure you survive what comes next." "What is going to come next?" He hesitated, and for the first time, she saw genuine concern cross his face. The person I was trying to reach had evidence of a massive fraud scheme. Money laundering through legitimate businesses, politicians taking bribes, financial institutions manipulating markets. The people involved have billions at stake. If they think you know anything, even if you do not, they will come looking. Terror gripped her heart. But I do not know anything. I believe you. But they might not, which is why I need to keep you close. Need to make sure they understand you are protected. Natalie wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite her coat. This is insane! This cannot be my life. I know. His voice was gentle now, almost tender. I know you did not choose this. But sometimes fate makes choices for us, and sometimes the only thing we can do is face what comes with someone strong beside us. She looked up at him. Really looked at him for the first time. Beyond the expensive suit and commanding presence, she saw something else. Weariness, the weight of constant vigilance, and underneath it all, a fierce determination that both frightened and reassured her. I do not even know you, she whispered. Then let me tell you who I am. He gestured toward the car. Have dinner with me. Let me explain everything. And if after tonight you still want me gone, I will find another way to keep you safe from a distance. Natalie knew she should refuse. Every rational part of her brain screamed that getting into that car was a terrible idea. But another part of her, a part she barely recognized, wanted to understand this man who had crashed into her life like a storm, wanted to know why his protection felt less like a cage and more like shelter. Against her better judgment, she nodded. One dinner, and then you tell me everything. Relief flickered across his face. Everything. I promise. As she slid into the car beside him, Natalie realized that her ordinary life had not just ended. It had transformed into something she could not yet name, something dangerous and thrilling and absolutely terrifying. And Julian Westbrook, the billionaire who claimed she was his to protect, was the only anchor she had in this new reality. The restaurant Julian chose was nothing like Natalie expected. Instead of a glamorous venue filled with celebrities and photographers, he took her to a small Italian place tucked away on a quiet street. The interior was warm and intimate, with soft lighting and the comforting smell of fresh bread and herbs. Only a handful of tables occupied the space, and the owner greeted Julian like an old friend. Mr. Westbrook, your usual table? Please, Marco. An extra privacy tonight. Marco smiled knowingly and led them to a corner booth partially hidden by a decorative screen. As they settled into their seats, Natalie felt some of her tension ease. This place felt real, human, far removed from the cold corporate world she had imagined surrounding Julian's life. You come here often? She asked, surprising herself with how normal the question sounded. Julian nodded. My mother used to bring me here when I was young, before everything changed. Marco's family has owned this restaurant for 3 generations. They treat everyone the same, whether you have money or not. I value that. It was the first personal detail he had shared that did not involve threats or protection. Natalie studied him across the table, seeing him differently in this softer light. You said you would tell me everything. I will. He paused as Marco brought them water and menus, then waited until they were alone again. But first, I need you to understand something about my world. Trust is the rarest currency I possess. People want access to my money, my influence, my connections. Very few want to know the person behind all of that. Natalie set down her menu. Then why tell me anything? You could just hire bodyguards to watch me from a distance. Because you deserve the truth. And because... He hesitated, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. Because when you answered that phone, something shifted. I cannot explain it rationally, but I heard your voice, heard the genuine confusion and honesty, and I knew you were different. Her heart beat faster. Different how? Real, unguarded, not performing or calculating. Just honestly yourself. Before she could respond, Marco returned to take their order. Julian ordered in Italian, the language flowing naturally from him. When Marco left, Natalie raised an eyebrow. You speak Italian? My mother was from Naples. She taught me before she died. The pain in his voice was unmistakable. Natalie's defenses lowered another degree. When did you lose her? I was 15. Cancer took her within 6 months of diagnosis. My father followed 2 years later. Heart attack, though I think it was really a broken heart. After that, I inherited everything. The company, the responsibility, the target on my back. Natalie had not expected such raw honesty. That must have been terrifying. It was. I went from being a teenager to running a $1 billion empire overnight. Everyone wanted something from me. Advice, money, favors, access. I learned quickly that showing weakness meant being devoured. So I built walls, became the ruthless businessman everyone expected. But that is not who you really are, Natalie said softly. His eyes met hers, surprise evident. What makes you say that? Because ruthless men do not protect strangers. They do not threaten bosses to save someone's job. And they do not take women to their mother's favorite restaurant to explain themselves. A genuine smile crossed his face, transforming his features. You see too much, Natalie Harper. Maybe you just hide less than you think. Their food arrived, and for a while they ate in comfortable silence. But Natalie's mind churned with questions. Tell me about the phone call. The real story. Julian set down his fork, his expression growing serious. 6 months ago, someone approached me with evidence of massive financial fraud. A whistleblower from inside one of the largest investment firms in the country. They had documentation proving that executives were manipulating stock prices, laundering money through offshore accounts, and bribing government officials to look the other way. Why come to you? Because I have a reputation for exposing corruption. 3 years ago, I helped bring down a pharmaceutical company that was selling defective medical equipment. Last year, I testified against a real estate mogul who was defrauding elderly investors. I make enemies, but I also make change. Natalie listened, fascinated despite her fear. This whistleblower was supposed to deliver the final piece of evidence last week, documentation that would connect everything and give prosecutors what they need for indictments. But 2 days before our meeting, they vanished. No contact, no explanation. Just gone. And you think something happened to them? Julian's jaw tightened. I know something happened. These are powerful people with unlimited resources. If they discovered who was leaking information, they would eliminate the threat. By eliminate, you mean, I mean permanently. Horror washed over Natalie. And you think because I answered their phone number, these people might target me? Their number was supposed to be untraceable. Burner phone, constantly changing. The fact that your number is 1 digit off suggests either an incredible coincidence or someone deliberately led me to you. But why would anyone do that? Julian leaned forward, his voice dropping. That is what I have been trying to figure out. Either it is random chance or someone is using you as bait. Drawing me out, seeing how I react, testing my connections. Natalie felt sick. So I am just a pawn in some corporate war? No. His hand reached across the table, covering hers. The touch was warm, steady, grounding. You are someone who got caught in crossfire not of your making, and I will not let them hurt you because of my investigation. She should have pulled her hand away, should have maintained distance and objectivity, but his touch felt like safety in a world that had become unpredictable and dangerous. What happens now? Now I keep investigating while keeping you protected. I have hired private security to watch your apartment building. My people are monitoring your phones and online activity for any suspicious contact. And I stay close because anyone who wants to reach you will have to go through me first. That sounds exhausting. It is, but you are worth the effort. The words hung between them, weighted with meaning neither was quite ready to acknowledge. Natalie withdrew her hand gently. You barely know me. How can you say that? Because in 2 days you have shown me more honesty than most people show in years. You did not try to use my interest for personal gain. You did not sell your story to the press. You just wanted your normal life back. That kind of integrity is rare, Natalie, and it matters to me. She felt tears threatening and blinked them back. I am scared, I know. But fear means you are smart enough to understand the danger, and smart people survive. They finished dinner talking about safer topics. Julian asked about her childhood, her dreams, the life she had planned before his phone call changed everything. She told him about growing up in a small town, about her parents who worked 2 jobs each to send her to college, about her determination to make their sacrifices worthwhile. In turn, he shared more about his mother, about the small moments of normalcy she had fought to preserve, even as his father built an empire. About learning to cook Italian food at her side, about her insistence that wealth should never replace compassion. By the time Marco brought them coffee and dessert, something had shifted between them. The tension had softened into understanding. The fear had not disappeared, but it had been joined by something else. Connection, recognition, the beginning of trust. "I should get you home," Julian said finally, though his reluctance was evident. Outside, the night air was cool and refreshing. Julian's car waited, but instead of heading straight to it, he paused on the sidewalk. "Natalie, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty." "Okay. In the past week, has anyone approached you, asked unusual questions, followed you? Even something small that seemed odd?" She thought carefully, replaying her recent days. Then something clicked. There was a man, 3 days ago outside my apartment building. He asked if I knew where the nearest post office was, but when I gave him directions, he did not leave. He just stood there watching until I went inside. Julian's expression darkened. "Can you describe him?" "Tall, maybe 40 years old, dark coat. He had a scar above his left eyebrow." Julian pulled out his phone and made a call immediately. "Bennett, I need you to check security footage from Natalie's building." 3 days ago, man matching this description. He relayed the details efficiently. "Pull everything and cross-reference with known associates of the Meridian Group." When he hung up, his face was grim. "That confirms it. They know who you are." Panic fluttered in Natalie's chest. "What do we do?" "You move, tonight, pack essentials and come stay at my penthouse. Full security, multiple exits, and my entire team watching every entrance. I cannot just abandon my apartment." "You can and you will. Your lease will be maintained, your belongings secured, but you cannot stay somewhere they have already marked." Natalie wanted to argue, but the fear in his eyes convinced her. This was not controlling behavior. This was genuine terror for her safety. "For how long?" "Until I find who is behind this and neutralize the threat." She nodded slowly. "Okay, but Julian?" "Yes?" "When this is over, when I am safe again, we need to talk about what this is between us. Because it feels like more than just protection." His eyes softened, and he stepped closer, his hand gently cupping her cheek. "It is more. It has been since that first phone call. I know it is fast and complicated and probably insane, but Natalie, you have changed something in me, made me remember what it feels like to care about someone beyond strategic value." Her breath caught. "I feel it too, and it terrifies me." "Good. We will be terrified together." He leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. But Natalie did not move. When his lips met hers, it was gentle and certain, a promise wrapped in tenderness. The kiss deepened, and for a moment, the danger and fear melted away, leaving only connection and possibility. When they finally parted, both were breathless. "Come on," Julian said softly. "Let me take you home. Your new home, where I can keep you safe while we figure this out together." Natalie let him guide her to the car, her heart full of conflicting emotions. Fear still lived there, but so did something else: hope, trust, and the beginning of love with a man who had entered her life through a wrong number and stayed because it felt impossibly right. As they drove through the city lights toward his penthouse, Natalie realized her ordinary life had not just ended. It had transformed into an extraordinary story she was still writing. One phone call, one dinner, one kiss at a time, and whatever came next, she would face it with Julian Westbrook beside her. Not as a possession or obligation, but as a partner. As someone who had claimed her heart just as surely as she had claimed his. The danger was real. But so was the love growing between them, and that made everything worth fighting for. The end.